Hello and welcome to today's Connect University. I'm really excited to be presenting today on Volunteer Milestones. As usual, Hands-on Connect Cloud Solutions is here to provide you with any and all of your digital solutions needs, whether it's volunteer engagement with Hands-on Connect or sessions like today's Connect University or our Connect Exchange series where we present Salesforce App Exchange partners, or helping out with any of your administrative needs with Salesforce. We've got you covered. Today's session is being recorded and is only 20 minutes, so we will be going pretty fast. My name is Art, and I'm really excited to be showing you today some of the functionality that you can use when you have the Nonprofit Success Pack and Hands-on Connect in your Salesforce instance. So for those of you who aren't aware, Salesforce.org provided what used to be called the Nonprofit Starter Pack, but is now the Nonprofit Success Pack. And this is a service that they offer, an app that you can install. And we actually have done a previous session on this, and you can check it out there at our past webinars to learn a little bit more about what the Nonprofit Success Pack can do for your organization. And so during today's effort, we are going to be taking advantage of some of the functionality from the Nonprofit Success Pack and building it into Hands-on Connect. In order for us to do this, we are also going to be creating some fields and such in Salesforce, and so I'm going to walk you through some of those. But one of the things that we're going to be using is a field in Salesforce called the Rollup summary. So now Rollup summaries are only available if you have a master detail relationship between the two objects. So in Salesforce, accounts and contacts do not have a master detail relationship. And with Hands-on Connect, the contacts and the connection records also do not have a master detail relationship. So in order to address that, we actually are using an App Exchange tool called Rollup Helper. Now, Rollup Helper does have a free edition that allows you to create up to 3 rollup fields using a lookup relationship. If you need more than that, they do have a paid subscription, and for nonprofits it is discounted 30%, so it's $1,218 a year, but that provides a lot of unlimited access to their Rollup Helper. So that's something you can definitely evaluate with a free trial and see if there's other ways that you could use that for your organization. If you have any questions about Rollup Helper, please don't hesitate to reach out, and we'll be happy to help make those connections and get those answers for you. And so in order to use the volunteer milestones, we're going to be using the Rollup Helper, and we're going to create 2 fields, one called Hours Served Current Year for a contact, and then another one for the accounts. And we'll talk about why you would want those at the account level as well. And then we're also going to be creating 2 additional fields, one called current level and another called previous level, again, both in the contact and account records. Now this is, the levels field is what we'll be using to track the milestones of the volunteer, and then the hours served is what we'll be using to determine what level of milestones they are reaching. Part of the work involved in this also requires granting access to the Nonprofit Success Pack functionality. And so I will show you where you would go to do that in just a few moments. But you will need to update this for the profiles that you want to have access to manage and view the milestone functionality. One thing to note is that the levels that are used for this do run on a nightly batch. So it's not a real-time update, but runs every night in your system. And that's to help reduce the load with all the other stuff you may have going on in your system. Once you have everything configured, you're then able to create levels, and there's no limit to how many levels and sub-levels and such you create for your recognition programs. And so in this case, as you see on the screen, we created a superhero level for volunteers that have contributed over 25 hours of service during the current calendar year. And so I'll show you how we create those, but you can create as many levels as you want, name them whatever you want, and assign them to both contacts and accounts, as well as other objects within Salesforce. Maybe you want to create levels for number of volunteer opportunities or things like that, or engaged and stuff. So lots of different ways that you can use the tool. Once we've set this all up, you may be thinking to yourself, well, what do I do with all these levels? That is where there are some additional options for triggering recognition. Another tool that we will not be discussing today is the Nonprofit Success Pack engagement plans. This allows you to automatically assign tasks to members of your team to follow up with volunteers when they reach a certain level. So let's talk about that superhero volunteer. Maybe when they reach that level, you want someone in your office to reach out and give them a call or send them an email thanking them for their service to your community. So you can automate that and assign that task and multiple tasks to follow to that individual in your team using the engagement plans. You can use the Salesforce workflow rules and email alert functionality or process builder and email alerts to send out emails to volunteers automatically when they receive that level of designation. You can then use these levels to also build out reports and list views that you can use to track and share within your team or with your board of directors. And of course, we also have our exchange partner, Cabot's Reward Volunteers. So that's something that you can opt in and encourage your volunteers to participate, especially those superhero volunteers would help make them eligible to win prizes and other recognition through the Cabot's Reward Volunteers program, which you can build out through Hands-on Connect. So those are some things just to kind of give you an overview as to what is the volunteer milestones and what we're going to be going through. And as the screen says, it's now demo time. So let's jump in and show you how this functionality works. So the first thing we want to do is we want to create those fields. When you're creating fields, you're going to do that through the setup menu. You're going to go to customize, and I'm going to start out with the contacts and show you the fields we created there. So I created several fields for this. The first field I created was current level hours served. Now, the way you create this field is you want to make it a lookup field that will look up to the levels object within your Salesforce instance. The other field that we created was the hours served field, CY, for current year. Now, as you can see, this was created by the Rollup helper and is used to automatically calculate that information and populate that field with the values that we need. Once you have your fields in place, you then need to grant access to your staff and to yourself to be able to view the levels. And so you do that by going to the profiles and setup, clicking on system administrator or whatever profile you need to update, and then going to object settings. Now within the object settings, you'll scroll down to the object called levels that is part of the Nonprofit Success Pack. And you're going to want to edit, and you're going to want to change the tab settings. It defaults to hidden, so you can change it to default off or default on, depending on what your preference is. And then you want to also make sure that you have access to the fields associated with this object. Many of these are checked by automatically, but you do need to give yourself access to a few of these fields, such as the maximum amount, minimum amount, and description and such. So you just want to give access, again, depending on what your practices are. For a system administrator, I would give yourself access to edit all the fields, but maybe for some other staff members, you want to give them just the read access and not the ability to actually edit the milestone levels, but have the ability to view them. So now that we have done the administrative configuration, we want to go in and create the levels themselves. So now I'm in the Nonprofit Success Pack app, which is a separate app from the Hands-on Connect app. And when I click on the Levels tab, I can see that I've created a number of levels for contacts and accounts, but I can create a new one. So let's say I wanted to create a level for Master Builder, where it's somebody that has volunteered a minimum of 50 hours in our community. So I can put in the minimum there. I don't need to have a maximum if it's just anything greater than 50, but if I want to designate, I could definitely say only folks between 50 and 75. Over 75, they're going to be some other level. I could say, what am I measuring the level? Account and contact are going to be in there by default, but as you can see here, you can add any custom object in your Salesforce instance, such as volunteer opportunities, to these levels, and create different milestones and such from there. So for this, since we are talking about volunteers, we're going to change it to the contact. I can then now, because I chose contact, it shows all the fields that are available for me to use to calculate the hours or the levels and the minimum. So I want my number field, and so I want hours served, CY, which is that roll-up field I created. And then for this level field and previous level field is an option if you want to. If you're not concerned about the history, you can leave it blank, but you could say, this is the current level that they are, that contact is. And if you want to update to see what their previous level was, you can also map to that as well. And then this is for volunteers that have served 50 or more hours. And you put in that description so you can track. All right, so now I can hit save. I'm gonna actually hit save in new because I'm gonna show you, we'll put this in here, show you a quick little trick here that is built in. When I hit save in new, you'll notice that I did go ahead and put a maximum attendance to 75 there. Oh, it won't let me because it overlaps, but so let me go in here. So right now, the reason is because Superhero does not have a maximum. So let me edit Superhero, put it at 50. And now I should be able to save. And there we go. And notice when I hit save and new, it automatically populated the 75 because that was the maximum from before. So it knows that my next level is going to be at least 75. It also kept that it was the contact and the hours served and all this information. So it makes it really easy to add many, many more additional levels into your system. So we're going to cancel out of that. And so now we're going to take a look at one of our existing volunteers. So Abby Ordoki, she is a great volunteer, and we can see from her contact record that Abby has volunteered a total of 25 hours with our organization, but this year she's really done a whole lot, and she has donated 23.5 hours to our organization already. We can also see that because of that, her current level is recognized as a hero. And so I can see that level in there. Now, I can also see that Abby volunteered yesterday, but we are still haven't confirmed her attendance. So why don't we go ahead and update her attendance. So we're going to go to that connection. We're going to update her and mark her as attended, hit OK, and hit save. And so now when I go back to Abby's contact record, we could see that her hours served for the current year have automatically updated using the Rollup field to reflect that she is now 26. According to our levels, this puts her up from a hero to a superhero. Now you'll remember that I did mention that it is a nightly update. So in order for us to see it during this call or during this webinar, I'm going to have to do a force run of this. Only recommended because I'm in a sandbox environment with very limited data. If you have a lot of data in there and you have to do a force update, I would recommend doing it after hours or on the weekend, so as to not conflict with other things that may be happening. But as you can see, there's just a few items, and I was already completed the update. So now when I go to Abby's record, I can now see that Abby's current level is superhero and her previous level was here, is now listed as hero. And so you could see now how all of this could automate to help you recognize and track your volunteers and those that are doing more and more and above and beyond in your community. From this information, you can create, as I mentioned, trigger recognition. So you can use the engagement plan to send an email to a staff member or assign them a task to say, hey, can you reach out to Abby or give her a call and thank her for her volunteer service as a superhero. Or maybe you have a superhero cape that you send to volunteers and you need to task somebody with sending them that recognition item or t-shirt. You can also automate emails that say when current level is updated to equal superhero, send out this awesome email to Abby so that she can be recognized. Again, those would be sent out automatically when you when the batches run. The last thing you can do, of course, is run a report to look at what your current levels are. And when I do that, I can see that I have one volunteer that's a community sidekick. I have Art Delta, who is a hero volunteer, and now Abby is listed as a superhero volunteer. And I could see how many hours they have served this year and what their previous level of service was. All right. So hopefully you've seen how you can leverage the Nonprofit Success Pack to help you with those volunteer milestones and help capture and recognize those volunteers that are going above and beyond for your organization and your community. As far as some upcoming webinars, we're hitting our fall break right now, and so we'll be back in a few weeks as we get ready for Lightning. Hands-on Connect is now Lightning ready, and we will be working to show you how you can take advantage of the Lightning features and explore migrating your Salesforce instance to the Lightning experience. So stay tuned for those sessions that will be coming very soon. And of course, don't forget to check out our past webinars for the Nonprofit Success Pack, as well as our Reward Volunteer one, so you can help automate and recognize the volunteers that are doing a great job in your community. Today's webinar will be posted here as well very soon. Thank you so much for joining us today, and look forward to seeing you at the next Connect University.